Imagine Plymouth Colony 1621, where the first so-called Thanksgiving unfolds not as a cosy banquet, but a grim, desperate huddle. You're there crouched at a splintered table, the November wind biting through your threadbare cloak. The pilgrims, gaunt and hollow-eyed, pass around a meal that's less feast, more survival ration mouldy maize gritty enough to crack teeth. Venison, reeking of fishy decay after months in barrels, and no trace of the plump turkey history loves to lie about. The Wampanoag wary allies sit opposite their faces, unreadable hands resting near knives. This isn't a Hallmark moment, it's a dystopian potluck where every bite screams starvation. The Puritans, led by William Bradford, band merriment insisting joy invites divine wrath. So no laughter, no songs, just the clink of pewter and the howl of wind through chinked logs. You scoop a spoonful of porridge, its greyish hue hinting at rot and gag as it sticks like paste. The air's thick with the stench of unwashed bodies and damp wood, a far cry from pumpkin pie fantasies. Puritan women faces pinched mutter prayers over the food, as if grace could mask the mould. The Wampanoag bring deer, but their gifts feel like a test-eat or insult your hosts. Suspense hangs heavier than the fog rolling off the harbour. A child coughs a wet, rattling sound, and you recall half the Mayflower's passengers are already dead from disease. This feast is no celebration. It's a tense negotiation, a fleeting truce in a world of hunger and mistrust. Picture a modern equivalent, a corporate retreat gone wrong where the catering's spoiled and everyone's eyeing the exits. The pilgrims' obsession with purity turned even gratitude into a chore. Fasting was holier than feasting, they'd say. You glance at the Wampanoag leader Massasoit, his silence louder than any sermon. Did they know this alliance would sour into war? The table groans under the weight of what's unsaid. You chew and the maize crunches like gravel, a reminder survival here is no holiday. It's a grim gamble and you're all in with no cards left. Step into Plymouth's muddy streets 1621, where Puritan paranoia clings like damp rot. The pilgrims saw signs of God's wrath everywhere. A crooked branch, a sour wind, a Wampanoag's fleeting glance. You're one of them, shivering in a draughty meeting house, where Governor Bradford drones about sin while the congregation nods, half-starved and half-terrified. They'd rather fast than feast, believing hunger purifies the soul. Imagine skipping dinner to cleanse yourself for a Zoom call with the almighty same vibe, worse stakes. Last week a woman was whipped for singing a hymn too cheerfully. Joy's a sin here, and God's apparently got a grudge. The air hums with dread, every creak of the roof, a divine warning. You hear whispers of a failed crop, and the preacher calls it punishment for someone's unspoken vice. Who's the sinner, your neighbour with his shifty eyes, or you for daring to dream of bread without mould? The Puritans' bizarre logic turned every setback into a cosmic audit. They'd starve through Thanksgiving to prove their piety, their lips chapped from endless prayers. Outside the forest looms, and some swear they hear ghostly cries. Native spirits, or just the wind. Period folklore spun tales of demons in the woods, and these settlers believed every word. You clutch your Bible, its weight no comfort, as Bradford warns of hellfire for the idle. Modern equivalent picture. A cult's group chat, everyone snitching on everyone else for impure emojis. Paranoia's infectious. A Wampanoag envoy arrives with corn and half the room thinks it's poisoned. No evidence, just fear. The meeting house smells of sweat and wax candles flickering like the colony's fragile hope. By 1630 this zeal would spark witch hunts, but for now it's just you, the sermon, and the creeping dread that God's watching, unimpressed. You stand at the edge of Plymouth's clearing 1621, where the forest's shadow feels like a held breath. The Wampanoag envoy, cloaked in deerskin, offers a basket of corn, but the pilgrims flinch, misreading the gesture as a veiled threat. Their leader Massasoit watches with eyes sharp as flint, his silence louder than the muskets propped nearby. To the Puritans, every gift hides a barb, hospitality's just a trap in their paranoid playbook. Imagine a modern equivalent. A neighbour drops off cookies and you're convinced they're laced with arsenic. Cultural misunderstandings twist this Thanksgiving into a tense standoff. The Wampanoag's intricate beadwork meant as a peace offering sparks whispers of savagery among the settlers who clutch their Bibles like shields. You hear a rustle in the trees, deer, or something else. Period folklore swears these woods hum with spirits, and the Puritans, jumpy from hunger, believe it. A Wampanoag child laughs a sound like clear water, but a settler woman hisses witchcraft. The air's thick with salt and pine, undercut by the stink of unwashed wool. You notice the envoy's hand linger near a knife, not hostile, just cautious, yet the pilgrims see treachery. By 1637, these missteps will fuel the Pequot War, but now it's just a spark crackling in every glance. The corn basket sits untouched, its golden kernels gleaming like a dare. You step closer, heart pounding as a strange cry echoes from the forest animal or an omen. The Puritans murmur prayers, their fear painting every gesture as doom. This isn't a feast, it's a chess game, and you're caught between moves wondering who'll flinch first. Wade through Plymouth streets, 1621, where mud and worse cling to your boots like a curse. No cobblestones here, just a churned mess of dirt, waste and desperation. The colony's answer to plumbing. You dodge a bucket slop tossed from the window, the stench of human filth hitting like a punch. Rats skitter through the mire, bold as tavern drunks, while children pale as ghosts splash in puddles reeking of decay. Modern equivalent picture. A music festival porta-potty, but it's your whole neighbourhood. The Puritans, obsessed with spiritual cleanliness, ignored the literal kind. Bathing was vain sanitation, a sin next to prayer. Houses slapped together from warped wood leak worse than a sieve, and the air's a stew of smoke, sweat and rot. You gag as a pig roots through a pile of refuse right where the Thanksgiving table will sit. Disease festers here. Half the colony's already coughing up blood, smallpox and scurvy, claiming more than the winter. A woman scrubs laundry in water brown as ale, muttering about God's will. No sewers, no pipes, just trenches that overflow with every rain. By 1630 this filth will breed plague, but for now it's just Tuesday. You slip, catching yourself on a fence, your hand slick with something unnameable. The Wampanoag, watching from a distance, wrinkle their noses, their villages with sweat lodges and clean streams. Put this cesspit to shame. Sarcasm aside, it's a miracle anyone survived. Picture it a new world where the streets are a sewer and faith's your only soap. Good luck not retching. Plymouth colony, winter 1621, and hunger gnaws your bones like a relentless rat. The pilgrims, half dead from starvation, turn to the unthinkable, digging up native graves for scraps of buried corn. You're there, shovel in hand, the frozen earth, cracking under your blade as guilt and desperation wrestle in your gut. The Wampanoag buried their dead with food for the afterlife, but to the settlers it's just survival. Never mind the sacrilege. Imagine looting a grocery store during an apocalypse, except it's a sacred mound, and the air hums with eerie whispers. Puritan piety crumbles as you unearth a few kernels gritty with dirt, while the wind carries strange keening cries, ghosts or just your conscience. By spring, some settlers ate their own shoes, but this is darker a line crossed in the snow. The soil smells of frost and decay, and your hands tremble not just from cold. A fellow pilgrim mutters a prayer, but it's hollow. God's not watching this blasphemy. Modern equivalent raiding a cemetery for canned goods, knowing you're cursed but too hungry to care. Period folklore warned of vengeful spirits in these woods, and you swear the shadows shift watching. The Wampanoag, if they knew, would see this as a betrayal, deeper than any failed feast. You stuff the stolen corn into your pocket, each grain heavy with dread. By 1637, such acts will fuel wars, but for now it's just you, the grave, and the sickening crunch of dirt underfoot. Starving, sure. But this meal's a one-way ticket to damnation, and you're already halfway there. You tread into Plymouth's forest, 1621, where the trees lean close, their branches clawing the grey sky. The pilgrims whisper of omens, abandoned Wampanoag villages, their fires cold, their tools scattered like bones. You spot a carving on a trunk, jagged lines that might spell a warning or nothing at all. The air's sharp with pine and something sour like fear itself. A strange cry pierces the dusk, not a wolf, not a bird, but something that makes your skin prickle. Picture wandering into a haunted Airbnb where every creak feels personal. Puritan tales spin of demons stalking these woods, and you half believe them. Your pulse racing as shadows flicker. The settlers, already rattled from hunger, see God's wrath in every snapped twig. You stumble over a deserted camp, its woven mats rotting, a lone arrow stuck in the ground like a dare. Was it war disease or something older that emptied this place? The Wampanoag know these forests better than you ever will, and their absence feels like a held breath. Modern analogy, it's like finding a ghost town with your phone at 1%, no answers, just dread. A settler behind you whispers of spirits, his voice shaky, and you recall stories of lost souls from the Mayflower's dead. By the 1630s, these omens will be war cries, but now they're just echoes tugging at your nerves. You trace the carving with a trembling finger, the wood cold as a grave, and wonder if the forest itself is warning you to turn back. You're packed into Plymouth's Meeting House, 1621, the air heavy with damp wool and the drone of Puritan prayers. Governor Bradford stands at the pulpit, his voice sharp as a blade, preaching that every empty belly is God's test. The congregation, skeletal from hunger, nods like puppets convinced a missed prayer invites plague or worse. They'd rather fast than feast, believing starvation purifies the soul. Imagine skipping dinner to ace a cosmic performance review. Sarcasm aside, it's grim. A woman faints from hunger mid-hymn, and they call it divine rapture. The room smells of tallow and fear candles, sputtering as Bradford rails against idleness. You clutch a worn Bible, its pages gritty with dust, while outside the wind howls like a warning. Puritan logic twists every misfortune into a divine audit. Spilled grain, a sick child, all proof of someone's sin. Modern equivalent? Picture a group chat blowing up over who cursed the team with bad luck. A man whispers he saw a dark shape in the woods, and the room tenses. Folklore here swears demons stalk sinners. By 1630 this zeal will birth witch hunts, but now it's just suffocating dogma. You bow your head lips, moving in forced prayer, but your stomach growls louder than the sermon. The preacher's eyes bore into you as if he smells your doubt. Fasting's their cure-all, but it feels like punishment. This Thanksgiving isn't gratitude, it's a grim plea for mercy, and you're drowning in the weight of their faith. Picture Plymouth 1621, where a tense exchange at the Thanksgiving table feels like a spark in a powder keg. You sit among pilgrims, their faces taut as a Wampanoag envoy offers a deer haunch, his gesture precise but guarded. The settlers led by Elder Brewster eye it like a Trojan horse, their hands twitching toward muskets. Mistrust crackles, every word, every glance a potential betrayal. It's like a bad Tinder date where everyone's armed and nobody trusts the vibes. The Wampanoags speak of shared winters, but the Puritans hear threats their paranoia fed by tales of savage plots. You notice a settler nudge his neighbour, whispering of poison in the meat. The air's thick with smoke and suspicion, the fires crackle, drowning out murmured prayers. Period folklore paints the Wampanoag as spirit talkers, and the pilgrims half believe they're dining with witches. By 1637 this distrust will ignite the Pequot War, but now it's just a knife's edge. You cut into the venison, its juices red as blood, and wonder who'll break first. The envoy's eyes meet yours calm but unyielding, and you feel the weight of a truce fraying. Modern analogy. Imagine a corporate merger where both sides hate the contract but smile for the photo op. A child drops a spoon and the clatter feels like a gunshot. This isn't a feast, it's a standoff, and you're caught in the middle praying no one draws first. Winter 1621 in Plymouth Colony sinks its teeth into you, a cold so brutal it feels personal. Starvation's turned the pilgrims into ghosts. Their cheeks hollow, eyes glassy as they chew on leather scraps boiled to a grim jelly. You're among them, tearing at a strip of shoe, your teeth scraping hide that tastes like despair and old sweat. The Thanksgiving feast is a distant memory. Those mouldy grains are long gone, and now it's just you, the frost, and a hunger that claws your insides. Imagine surviving on gym socks because the fridge is empty. That's the vibe, but bleaker. Disease stalks the colony, smallpox and scurvy leave gums, bleeding faces pocked. You smell the sour rot of infection mingling with wood smoke in the cramped huts. A child's cough echoes wet and final, and you know half the Mayflower's passengers are already in the ground. The Puritans pray harder, as if faith fills bellies, but the wind's howl mocks their sermons. Modern analogy, it's like a doomsday prepper's bunker running out of rations with everyone too stubborn to admit it. Some whisper of eating the dead, a taboo not yet crossed but close. The Wampanoag distant now offered corn once, but pride and mistrust keep you starving. Your fingers numb and cracked, fumble with the leather, and each bite feels like a surrender. By 1622, spring might bring relief, but for now, winter's a cruel king and you're its shivering subject praying for a miracle that never comes. You wander into an abandoned Wampanoag village near Plymouth, 1621. The silence louder than any storm. Huts stand empty, their bark walls sagging woven mats rotting in the damp. You spot a carving on a post-CRO, scratched deep, half-finished like someone fled mid-mark. The air's heavy with pine and decay, and your breath catches as a twig snaps behind you. Is it wind or something? Watching picture stumbling into a ghost town off a horror movie set your phone dead no map. Puritan tales whisper of spirits in these woods, and you feel them now, the hairs on your neck rising. The village's stillness screams absence, war disease, or fear drove its people away, leaving only echoes. You step over a broken arrow, its feathers limp, and wonder what story it tells. The pilgrims paranoid see devilry in every shadow, but you're not sure it's just their imagination. Modern equivalent, it's like finding an abandoned campsite with half-burnt letters in the fire. By the 1630s, these empty villages will mark war's scars, but now they're just eerie relics. You trace the carving with a trembling finger, the wood cold as bone, and hear a faint whale animal or something older. The Puritans would burn this place to cleanse it, but you're frozen, caught between awe and dread. This isn't Thanksgiving. It's a graveyard of trust, and you're trespassing on its ghosts. Plymouth Colony, 1621, and the silence is a weight you carry heavier than the hunger in your gut. Night cloaks the settlement, but no one sleeps. Every creak of a floorboard feels like betrayal's footsteps. You huddle in a drafty hut, the fire's glow barely touching the dark, while outside the quiet is unnatural, as if the forest itself holds its breath. The Puritans whisper of divine judgment, their eyes darting to neighbours suspecting hidden sins behind every glance. Imagine a group chat gone silent after a cryptic warning. Everyone's paranoid, and you're no exception. The Wampanoag's distant fires, once a sign of alliance, now spark dread. Are they plotting or just surviving like you? A woman clutches her rosary, muttering about Satan in the woods, her voice sharp as broken glass. Puritan folklore paints these silences as God's displeasure, and you half believe it, your pulse racing at every rustle. Modern analogy, it's like waiting for a storm alert, knowing something's coming, but not what. The air smells of damp earth and fear, the kind that sticks to your skin. By 1637, this mistrust will birth bloodshed, but for now it's just you, the silence, and the creeping sense that someone's watching God the Wampanoag or something worse. You hold your breath as if sound itself could damn you and pray the quiet doesn't break with a scream. You stand in Plymouth's fields, 1621, where the harvest mocks the Puritans' dreams of a new Eden. The corn, their lifeline, sags under mould, its stalks blackening like a plague signature. You pull a cob, its kernels slimy, reeking of rot, and realise this Thanksgiving will be leaner than ever. The settlers, ever optimistic, planted with prayers, but God's not a farmer, rain and blight outsmarted their sermons. Picture betting your life on a startup, only to find the product's garbage. That's their vibe with higher stakes. The air's thick with mildew and despair, and you gag as you toss the spoiled cob aside. A farmer face gaunt blames sin for the failure, muttering about a neighbour's impure thoughts. Sarcasm alert, sure God ruined the crops because someone smiled on Sunday. By 1622, starvation will tighten its grip, but now it's just you, the mud and fields that promise nothing but hunger. Puritan tales whisper of cursed lands, and you wonder if the Wampanoag who taught you to plant knew this soil was doomed. Modern equivalent, it's like ordering a gourmet meal and getting a plate of compost. Rats gnaw at the edges of the field, unbothered by the rot, while you clutch a spade hoping for one clean cob. The horizon's grey, the future greyer, and every spoiled kernel feels like a divine middle finger. You're in Plymouth 1621, where the so-called Thanksgiving truce between pilgrims and Wampanoag teeters like a cracked plank over a chasm. The air's thick with wood smoke and tension as Massasoit, the Wampanoag leader, meets William Bradford under a sagging lean-to. They exchange nods, not smiles, while hands hover near knives and muskets. Every word's a tightrope walk, promises of peace sound like threats when you're starving and scared. Picture a modern ceasefire negotiation streamed live with both sides tweeting shade behind fake smiles. The pilgrims offer a meagre basket of fishy-smelling maize, a gesture the Wampanoag accept with stone-faced grace, but you catch their sidelong glances sharp as flint. Puritan paranoia paints every native move as a prelude to attack, despite the Wampanoag's shared corn saving you last winter. You stand nearby, heart pounding, as a translator stumbles over words, turning alliance into something closer to surrender. The wind carries a distant howl wolf or warning, and a settler grips his Bible tighter, muttering about heathen sorcery. By 1637, this fragile truce will shatter into the Pequot War, but for now it's a diplomatic dance on a razor's edge. The scene smells of salt and mistrust, the ground muddy underfoot, mirroring the murky promises. Modern analogy, it's like a family reunion where everyone's armed and nobody trusts the potato salad. You watch Massasoit's men shift their beads, glinting, and wonder if peace is just a pause before the storm. Plymouth 1621 and disease is a guest, nobody invited to this grim Thanksgiving. You're coughing your gums, bleeding from scurvy, each tooth loose as a betrayal. Smallpox has already carved through the colony, leaving pocked faces and shallow graves. Half the Mayflower's passengers are gone, their bodies buried under moonlight to hide the toll. The Puritans, ever pious, slap leeches on festering sores, swearing bloodletting's a cure, not torture. Imagine treating a flu with a medieval TikTok hack spoiler, it's worse. The air reeks of pus and herbs, the hut's a stew of moans and prayers. A woman pale as ash chews willow bark, her lips stained red, while a doctor mutters about balancing humours. Sarcasm alert, sure drain your blood to feel spry, it's Renaissance wellness at its finest. You stumble outside the cold, biting your raw skin, and see a child's fevered eyes glassy as the harbour. Puritan remedies are as brutal as the disease, think boiled nettles and prayers louder than screams. By 1622, more will fall, but now it's just you dodging rats and death in a colony that smells like a crypt. Modern equivalent, imagine a hospital with no meds, just vibes and essential oils. The Wampanoag spared this wave watch from afar, their own healers wiser than your quacks. You gag on a cure of mouldy bread, wondering if faith or fever will kill you first. You're in Plymouth 1621, where laughter is a sin the Puritans punish faster than theft. The Thanksgiving feast looms, but joy's forbidden Governor Bradford's flock believes a smile invites Satan's handshake. You see a young girl hum a tune, her voice soft as spring, only for an elder to lash her knuckles with a switch hissing about vanity. The air's thick with wax and fear, the meeting house a grim cage where even a chuckle draws glares. Imagine a modern office where humming gets you fired, but the vibe's deadly serious welcome to Puritan party planning. A man caught grinning at a Wampanoag's jest is forced to kneel in the mud praying for forgiveness, while his neighbours nod approvingly. Sarcasm alert, nothing says gratitude like flogging fun out of existence. The colony smells of damp wool and judgment, every creak a reminder of God's watchful eye. By 1630 this zeal will fuel witch trials, but now it's just you biting your tongue to keep from laughing at a child's clumsy dance. Puritan folklore warns of demons in mirth, and you feel their weight in every stern glance. Modern analogy, it's like a family reunion where everyone's allergic to fun and grandma's got a ruler ready. The Wampanoag watching silently must think these settlers mad their feasts as lively as funerals. You swallow a chuckle, your throat dry, knowing one wrong sound could brand you a heretic in this joyless new world. You stand on Plymouth's rocky shore 1621, where the horizon feels like a warning written in grey waves. The pilgrims whisper of omens. A ship's mast snapped in the harbour gulls, screaming like lost souls, a strange glow flickering at dusk. You squint, the salt air stinging, and see a shadow on the water too fleeting to name. Is it a trick of the light, or something older, tied to the Wampanoag tales of spirits in the deep picture camping by a lake hearing? Whispers from the fog, your phone's dead and the vibe's all wrong. Puritan fear paints every oddity as God's wrath, and you're half convinced your pulse quickening as the tide hisses. The colony's already buried half its dead, and the sea seems hungry for more. A sailor swears he saw a ghostly figure on the waves, his voice low, and the others cross themselves muttering prayers. By 1637 these fears will turn to war, but now it's just you, the haunted horizon, and a chill that's not just the wind. Modern equivalent, it's like scrolling X late at night, stumbling on a creepy thread about ghost ships. The beach smells of fish and decay, the rocks slick underfoot. You spot a carved stone half buried its symbols alien, Wampanoag or something stranger. The Puritans would burn it, but you're frozen wondering if the sea's whispering back. You're in Plymouth, 1621, hunched over a table in a dim hut, staring at a lump of bread that's more mould than meal. The Thanksgiving feast is a cruel memory, and this gritty, sour loaf, cobbled from spoiled maize and whatever wasn't eaten by rats, is your lifeline. You bite down the taste like wet earth, and regret each chew a battle against your gag reflex. The Puritans call it sustenance, but it's closer to punishment, as if God's testing your stomach's faith. Picture eating an expired protein bar in a blackout, knowing it's all you've got that's the vibe, but grimier. The air's thick with the stench of mildew and smoke, the bread's green patches glowing faintly in the candlelight. A woman nearby coughs her teeth black from scurvy while muttering prayers over her own crumbling slice. Sarcasm alert, nothing screams New World like dining on what looks like a science experiment gone wrong. By 1622, hunger will drive some to worse, but for now you choke down this bitter bread, your jaw aching. The Wampanoag, who taught you to plant corn, would wince at this mockery of their gift. Modern analogy, it's like ordering artisanal bread and getting a mouldy doorstop instead. Rats skitter in the shadows, eyeing your meal, and you wonder if they've got the better deal. Every swallow feels like defiance, but the aftertaste whispers defeat. You venture into Plymouth's forest, 1621, where the trees loom like sentinels, their branches clawing the dusk. The pilgrims whisper of a watcher in the woods, a shadowy figure glimpsed at twilight gone when you blink. You feel it now a prickle on your neck, as if eyes are tracking your steps through the frost-crusted leaves. Is it a Wampanoag scout, a lost settler, or something drawn from their whispered tales of spirits? Imagine hiking a trail from a creepy X-thread where every snap's a jump scare. That's your reality. Heart pounding. The air smells of pine and damp rot, the silence broken by a low hum not quite human. Puritan paranoia paints these woods as Satan's playground, and you're half convinced your breath fogging in the chill. A settler swears he saw a figure with hollow eyes cloaked in mist, and the story's stuck, fueling prayers and panic. By 1630, these sightings will spark witch hunts, but now it's just you clutching a knife scanning the dark. Modern equivalent, it's like spotting a blurry shape in a trail cam photo, too real to dismiss. You find a broken twig arranged like a sign, and your pulse spikes. Is it a warning or just the wind? The Wampanoag know these woods better. Their absence louder than any cry. You freeze, sensing the watcher closer, and pray it's only your fear staring back. Plymouth Colony, 1621, and your hands blister on a splintered axe handle, the blade dulled to uselessness. The pilgrims' tools hauled across the Atlantic are crumbling shovels, snap ploughs warp, and nails rust into red dust. You're out here hacking at frozen soil, trying to plant a future, but your spade bends like it's mocking you. The Puritans, big on prayer but short on blacksmiths, patch their gear with twine and hope as if faith fixes iron. Picture a DIY project gone wrong, except your survival's on the line. Welcome to the New World Handyman Special. The air's sharp with frost and the tang of rusted metal, every swing of your axe a gamble. A settler curses as his hoe cracks, blaming divine wrath for shoddy craftsmanship. Sarcasm alert. Sure, God broke your shovel because you skipped church. By 1622, broken tools will stall crops, but now it's just you wrestling a warped plough while rats gnaw the wood. The Wampanoag with their stone tools must laugh at your clunky iron relics. Modern analogy, it's like trying to build IKEA furniture with a paperclip and a prayer. You tie a snapped handle with rope, your fingers numb and hear a distant snap. Another tool or something, watching Puritan tales of cursed lands don't help. And every failed swing feels like the earth saying, go home. You keep digging stubborn, but the broken tools whisper you're out of your depth. You kneel in Plymouth's meeting house, 1621. The final prayer of this grim Thanksgiving season ringing in your ears. The Puritans, battered by hunger and cold, cling to faith like a frayed rope, their voices hoarse from begging God's mercy. The room's a haze of tallow smoke, the air heavy with despair, and the faint rot of unwashed bodies. Governor Bradford preaches resilience, but his words can't mask the graves outside half the colony's gone, yet they pray harder, as if volume sways heaven. Imagine live streaming your desperation to an unresponsive deity that's their vibe with worse Wi-Fi. A woman's sob breaks the hymn her child lost to fever, and you feel the weight of their stubborn hope. Sarcasm aside, it's raw. These settlers bet everything on a new world, and it's chewing them up. The Wampanoag distant now taught them to survive, but mistrust and disease have cracked that bond. By 1637, war will bury this fragile peace, but for now you bow your head, the floorboards creaking like a warning. Modern equivalent is like clinging to a GoFundMe for a miracle cure, knowing the odds are grim. The candles flicker, casting shadows that dance like spirits from Puritan tales. You pray not for salvation, but for one more day. Their resilience, foolish or fierce, keeps them kneeling, and you can't help but admire the grit, even as the cold whispers defeat. Paris, 1793, and the French Revolution has decided time itself needs a makeover. The old Gregorian calendar, stained with royal and religious baggage, is scrapped for a new one with months named like poetry gone mad, Germinal, Brumaire, Thermidor. Picture a city buzzing with revolutionary fever where citizens wake to find April is now germinal, a word that sounds like a sneeze or a bad cough syrup. In a bustling market, a baker scratches his head, muttering Happy Sprout Month as shoppers shrug, confused by the new names plastered on decrees. It's like your phone's calendar app glitched, renaming March Misty and expecting you to roll with it. The air smells of bread and ink with pamphlets preaching the Republic's rational new era, but the crowd's murmurs carry a nervous edge. Robespierre's radicals insist this calendar frees them from superstition, yet it feels like a fever dream, months named for seasons and weather poetic but useless for planning. A merchant scrawls Germinal 10 on a ledger, his quill snapping in frustration. Sarcasm alert, nothing screams liberty like renaming time itself and baffling everyone. By 1805, Napoleon will ditch this nonsense, but for now the streets hum with absurd hope as if a new calendar could erase the guillotine's shadow. Modern analogy. Imagine X announcing every day is now, named after a random emoji, good luck scheduling that meeting. The dawn of Germinal is less revolution, more bureaucratic prank, and you're all stuck in its surreal script. It's 1793 in revolutionary France, and the new calendar's daily names hit like a fevered joke. Today's not Tuesday, it's Carrot Day. Days are now tied to plants, tools, or animals, think barley shovel or goose turning. Schedules into a farmer's almanac gone rogue. In a village square, a schoolteacher tries explaining Parsnip Day to baffled children who giggle as if it's a game while parents argue over whether it's still Sunday. Imagine your boss scheduling a meeting for Wheelbarrow Day and expecting you to take it seriously. That's the chaos here. The air's thick with dust and revolutionary fervour, market stalls buzzing as vendors shout fresh leeks for Leek Day with forced enthusiasm. The Republic's planners, led by Fabre d'Eglantine, thought naming days after turnips would ground the masses in nature, but it's just surreal. A cobbler tosses his ledger muttering, "What's next? Potato week sarcasm alert." Nothing says freedom like celebrating a root vegetable. By 1805, this calendar will be a bad memory, but now it's a daily riddle with peasants ignoring Goat Day for old habits. Modern analogy, it's like X-trending #Carrot Day with everyone memeing the absurdity. A priest defrocked smirks as he whispers of Saints' Days returning. The guillotine's hum looms nearby, a grim reminder that this chaos has teeth and you're all caught in its bizarre veggie-fueled script. Paris, 1793, and the French Revolution's new calendar brings a timekeeping nightmare, the 10-hour clock. Days are sliced into 10 hours each, with 100 minutes each minute, 100 seconds, a decimal dream that's pure chaos in practice. Clockmakers sweat in their workshops, chiselling new faces for clocks that tick like a fevered pulse while citizens squint at dials utterly lost. Imagine your smartwatch resetting to Martian time, your schedule trashed. Welcome to revolutionary time management. The air smells of metal and panic with market vendors shouting, "What's the hour?" to no one's clear answer. Robespierre's radicals swore this would rationalise life, but it's like a bad app update nobody asked for. A baker tosses his new clock, its 100-minute ticks mocking his bread's rise. Sarcasm alert, nothing. Screams progress like making noon hit at 5 o'clock. By 1805, this decimal disaster will be scrapped, but now it's a daily riddle with workers missing meetings and priests smirking at the chaos. Modern analogy, it's like X trending a new time zone called Revolution Standard and everyone's late. The guillotine shadow looms its rhythm more reliable than these ticking monstrosities. You glance at a clock, its hands spinning too fast, and feel time itself unravelling in this absurd ticking fever dream. Step into Paris 1794, where the Revolution's Festival of Reason turns Notre Dame into a surreal stage. The altar's gone, replaced by a papier-mâché goddess of reason, a local actress draped in white posing like a knockoff statue. Crowds chant for liberty, but the air's thick with incense and unease, the cathedral's stained glass glowing like a fevered dream. It's less worship, more propaganda party with revolutionary hymns drowning out whispers of old saints. Picture Coachella with guillotines instead of glow sticks. That's the vibe unhinged and eerie. The organisers, drunk on secular zeal, rename churches temples of reason, but the stone walls seem to hum with ghostly defiance. A citizen trips over a pew muttering about curses while others dance half-forced to tunes that feel like mockery. Sarcasm alert, nothing, says Enlightenment, like swapping mass for a theatrical stunt. By 1805, Napoleon will restore the old ways, but now the festival's a chaotic spectacle with subtle whispers of saints lingering in the shadows. Modern analogy, it's like X hosting a viral ReasonCon, where everyone's hyped but secretly spooked. The actress goddess winks and you swear the cathedral's arches groan as if faith itself is laughing at this bizarre revolutionary charade. In a muddy French village, 1794, the revolutionary calendar's lofty names Thermidor Vendémiaire land like a bad joke. Farmers knee-deep in fields scoff at heat month while rain soaks their boots, ignoring decrees to call today Pumpkin Day. A grizzled peasant, plough in hand, spits and mutters Sunday's good enough for me as his wife barters eggs under the old calendar's rhythm. Picture your grandma refusing to update her flip phone but with more stubborn grit, that's the vibe here. The air smells of wet hay and defiance with revolutionary posters peeling off barn walls unread. The Republic's new timekeeping meant to free minds just to noise the locals who track seasons, by harvest's not fog month. A tavern keeper laughs serving ale on Barley Day but calling it God's Tuesday to cheers. Sarcasm alert, nothing unites a village like mocking Paris's bright ideas. By 1805 this calendar will be compost. But now peasants stick to saints' days, their rebellion quiet but fierce. Modern analogy, it's like X trending hashed radish day while everyone just posts LOL it's Friday. A tax collector waving a germinal decree gets a pitchfork's glare. The fields hum with work, not revolution, and you sense the old ways rooting deeper than any new name. Paris 1793 and the revolutionary calendar burns with the zeal of Robespierre's radicals, who see time itself as a monarch to dethrone. In a smoky hall, Fabre d'Eglantine unveils months like Fructidor, his voice fevered claiming nature's names, will purify the Republic. Scribes scribble New Day's sickle watering can, while the crowd cheers half drunk on liberty, half spooked by the guillotine's shadow. It's like a cult leader pitching a new app to fix time, but the stakes are bloodier. The air's thick with ink and sweat, the room lit by flickering torches that cast eerie shapes. This calendar born of revolutionary fever aims to erase God and kings, but its fanaticism feels like a spell gone wrong. A tailor caught up in the hype renames his shop Brumaire Threads, but his eyes dart as if doubting his own fervour. Sarcasm alert, nothing screams reason like naming Wednesday after a plough. By 1805 this zeal will fizzle, but now it's a wildfire burning through tradition. Modern analogy. Imagine X hyping a Revolution OS that crashes every clock. Whispers of old saints echo in the streets and you feel the mania teetering as if time itself might snap under the weight of their righteous frenzy. By 1805 Paris has had enough of the revolutionary calendar's nonsense, and Napoleon, ever the pragmatist, pulls the plug. The poetic months germinal thermidor fade like a bad dream, replaced by the old Gregorian rhythm of January and Sunday. In a bustling tavern, a merchant tears down a tattered Fructidor poster, laughing back to normal time, thank God, while patrons clink mugs, their relief palpable. It's like uninstalling a buggy app that renamed your day as carrot and crashed your life. That's the vibe with less guillotine. The air smells of ale and fresh ink, new calendars pinned up as if the last decade was a fevered prank. The Republic's grand experiment, meant to rewrite time, tripped over its own absurdity, peasants never bought in, and even city folk fumbled the 10-hour clock. A clerk, still clutching a decimal watch, mutters, "What was the point? Sarcasm alert. Nothing. Screams revolution," like confusing everyone for a decade. The streets hum with normalcy, but there's a lingering unease as if time's brief rebellion left a scar. Modern analogy, imagine X ditching a viral hashed new time trend after everyone's memes called it chaos. A priest slipping back into his church smirks at the reason banners now rotting in alleys. The calendar's collapse is a quiet victory for habit, but you sense the revolution's zeal still smouldering, ready to spark again. In 1805, France buries the revolutionary calendar, its months like Brumaire, fading into a historical footnote. But the absurdity lingers like a bad aftertaste. In a village square, an old farmer chuckles, marking his ledger with January instead of Nivose, as if time itself is laughing at the Republic's hubris. The air's crisp with winter frost, the scent of normalcy returning, yet there's an eerie edge. Did they really think they could rename time? It's like X hyping a global rebrand time campaign, only for everyone to shrug and go back to bed. The calendar's failure mocks the revolutionaries' dream of controlling nature, their 10-day weeks and carrot-named days now tavern jokes. A woman in the market once forced to cheer for reason whispers of saints' days, returning her voice low as if the old gods never left. Sarcasm alert, congrats, you renamed Tuesday Turnip and lost a decade, bravo. Modern analogy, picture a startup's bold new calendar app flopping because nobody could schedule lunch. The guillotine's shadow has faded, but the calendar's chaos leaves a haunting lesson time bends for no one, not even revolutionaries. As church bells ring for Sunday not primity, you feel history's wry grin, reminding you that human ambition, however wild, is no match for time's patient tick. You're in a dimly lit apothecary shop in 16th century London, 1580, where the air reeks of herbs and something darker like earth and old bones. The apothecary with ink-stained fingers slides you a vial of grey powder ground human skull, he swears, to cure your headaches. You choke down the gritty dust, its taste like chalk and crypt, while he drones about its vital essence. This is corpse medicine Renaissance style, where skulls from executed criminals are pounded into cures for epilepsy or fever. Imagine swallowing a haunted protein shake knowing it's someone's head. Welcome to medical history's creepiest trend. The shop's shelves groan with jars labelled cranium, next to time as if death's just another ingredient. Sarcasm alert, nothing says health like snacking on a guillotined thief's skull. The air's thick with dust and candle wax, the apothecary's grin as grim as his wares. By the 17th century this practice will fade, but now it's peak science backed by alchemists like Paracelsus. Modern analogy, picture X, hyping a bone dust smoothie for wellness with influencers swearing it works. You gag the powder sticking to your throat and wonder whose skull you're tasting. A faint hum seems to rise from the vial. Alchemical nonsense or something spookier? This cures a gamble and you're betting your life on a grave's leftovers. It's 1590, and you're in a Venice apothecary where the scent of myrrh and decay clings like a curse. The merchant offers mumia, dried human flesh from Egyptian tombs ground into a paste for your aches. It's black, sticky, and smells like a crypt's breath, but he swears it heals wounds or plague. This is the mummy trade, a Renaissance obsession, where grave robbers ship ancient corpses to Europe's pharmacies, turning tombs into profit. Picture buying a vintage human ointment off a shady ex-marketplace. That's the grim hustle here. The shop's lit by flickering lamps, shadows dancing over jars of mummy next to saffron. Sarcasm alert, nothing screams self-care, like smearing a 3,000-year-old corpse on your skin. The air's heavy with spice and rot the merchant's hands, stained from grinding bones. By the 17th century, supply will dwindle, but now mummies are a hot import looted from desert graves. Modern analogy, it's like ordering a miracle cure from a sketchy website, only to get a box of ancient dust. You rub the paste its grit like sandpaper and feel a chill. Is it the cure or the tomb's ghost clinging to you? This macabre trade thrives and you're just another customer in death's marketplace. You're in a grimy 16th century London apothecary 1585, where the air's thick with the iron tang of blood and the flicker of candlelight. The apothecary hands you a vial of dark, viscous liquid spirit of blood distilled from the fresh veins of an executed criminal, promised to restore your vitality. You hesitate, the glass warm in your palm, its contents gleaming like liquid night. This is corpse medicine's grim peak, where gallows blood is bottled like wine for epilepsy or weakness. Imagine chugging a vampire's energy drink knowing it's sourced from a public hanging Renaissance healings not for the faint-hearted. The shop smells of wax and death shelves lined with jars that glint with morbid promise. Sarcasm alert, nothing screams, get well soon, like sipping a traitor's last heartbeat. Executions fuel this trade crowds gathering at Tyburn to catch blood in cups before it cools. By the 17th century this fad will wane, but now it's grim business as usual. Modern analogy picturesque trending. Gallows juice as the latest wellness craze with grim influences swearing by it. You tilt the vial, its warmth unsettling, and swear it hums with a faint eerie pulse. Alchemical hype or something darker. The apothecary's eyes glint, counting his coins while you drink, caught in this bloody bargain with death itself. It's midnight in a 1590 Paris cemetery and you're ankle-deep in mud shovel in hand as a grave robber's lantern casts jittery shadows. The apothecary's order is clear, fresh corpses for medicinal powder bones to grind for cures. The air's heavy with damp earth and decay, the stench choking as you dig each spadeful a theft from death itself. This is the dark engine of corpse medicine where graves are looted to supply Europe's pharmacies with healing dust. Picture sneaking into a haunted junkyard for spare parts, except its body's Renaissance side hustle at its grimmest. A cracked tombstone looms, its inscription blurred, and you flinch at a rustle, rats or ghosts. Sarcasm alert, nothing says career goals like grave robbing for a pharmacist's paycheck. The trade thrives, fueled by executions and secret digs, with apothecaries paying top coin for fresh skulls. By the 17th century, laws will crack down, but now it's open season on crypts. Modern analogy, imagine ex-post advertising vintage bones for wellness, no questions asked. You unearth a bone, its weight cold and wrong, and feel a chill. Alchemical tales swear, relics hum with power. The lantern flickers and you work faster, praying the dead don't mind their parts in your apothecary's jar. You're in a 16th century Florence apothecary 1595, clutching a jar of your own dried skin scraped from a healed wound and ground to powder. The apothecary, with a grave nod, swears it'll recycle your vital essence to cure your fever. You swallow the gritty paste, its taste like ash, and shame, believing this grim act might cheat death. This is corpse medicine's darkest corner, where patients consume their own remains driven by Renaissance faith in the body's mystic power. Imagine blending your own scabs into a smoothie because a wellness guru on X swore it works. That's the desperate vibe. The shop's air is thick with wax and rot jars of self-cures lining shelves beside mummy dust. Sarcasm alert, nothing says self-care like eating your own skin to feel spry. By the 17th century this practice will fade, but now desperation fuels belief with alchemists like Paracelsus, preaching the body's magic. Modern analogy, it's like a dystopian TikTok trend, self-cannibalism for health. Some 4. You gag the paste, clinging to your throat, and feel a shiver. Is it hope or the ghost of your own flesh? The apothecary's eyes glint, counting your coins while you choke down your grim faith, praying this sacrifice saves you. In a 17th century Amsterdam apothecary 1600, the fading glow of corpse medicine casts a grim spell. You stand among shelves of skull powder and mummy paste, the air heavy with myrrh and mortality, as alchemists blend science with superstition. This is the era's strange alchemy, where human remains were cures for plague or pain, peddled with the zeal of a snake oil salesman. The shop's shadows flicker jars glinting like relics, and you swear one hums a faintly alchemical hype or death's own whisper. Picturesque trending bone cure with grim influencers hyping ground skulls as the ultimate hack that's the Renaissance's morbid obsession. Sarcasm alert, nothing screams progress like turning graves into pharmacies. By the 1650s, science will bury this practice, but now it's a haunting mix of hope and horror, with patients betting lives on crypt dust. Modern analogy, it's like a wellness fad selling vintage human supplements, equal parts gross and gripping. The apothecary counts his profits unperturbed, while you stare at a vial of blood, its origin a gallows mystery. This is humanity's grim curiosity, chasing life through death's scraps, a gamble that leaves you chilled. As you leave, the shop's silence feels heavy, a reminder no potion outruns mortality's patient laugh. Imagine Florence 1444, where the air hums with quills scratching parchment and the scent of ink mingles with olive oil. You're in the heart of the Renaissance, a world bursting with ideas where scholars like Aeneas Silvius Piccolomini chase passion over piety. This isn't the dusty Vatican yet. This is a city of velvet cloaks, candlelit taverns, and whispers of forbidden love. Aeneas, a 39-year-old humanist with a poet's heart, isn't dreaming of a papal throne. No, he's penning Historia de Duobus Amantibus, a novel so steamy it'd make a cardinal blush. Think of it as a Renaissance romance novel gone viral like a spicy e-book topping medieval charts. You step into Aeneas's study, a cluttered room where manuscripts spill across oak tables. His quill dances conjuring lovers Euryalus and Lucretia, whose affair scorches the page. It's not just pillow talk. It's a scandal wrapped in flowery prose with kisses stolen in moonlit gardens and vows whispered over goblets of wine. The church, looming like a disapproving parent, would clutch its rosary at lines like these, her breath a fire to melt the stars. Aeneas doesn't care. He's a humanist drunk on words, not wine, chasing the thrill of stories over sermons. His novel, written in Latin for the elite, isn't for dusty monks. It's for courtiers who smirk at sin. But here's the kicker, this isn't some obscure scribble. Historia spreads like gossip in a royal court copied by hand in Florence, Venice, even Paris. Readers devour its tale of lust and betrayal, passing it under tables like contraband. You can almost hear the parchment rustle, feel the thrill of defying the church's glare. Aeneas, a cleric, no less knows his work's a gamble. The Renaissance loves its contradictions, marble saints in churches, sinful ink in studies. His novel's a middle finger to dogma, a love letter to human desire. Yet there's a chill in the air. Whispers of censure linger like shadows creeping across his desk. Could this book haunt him later? Picture yourself as one of his readers sneaking a page by candlelight. The words grip you vivid raw like a pulse under skin. Aeneas paints love as a battlefield all sweat and secrets, no chaste troubadour nonsense. It's thrilling but eerie too, each line feels like a dare to the heavens. You wonder, does he know he's playing with fire? The church isn't exactly a fan of hot and bothered clerics. His humanist friends cheer, but the bishops there sharpening their quills for a different kind of letter. This is Aeneas before Pius II, before the papal tiara caged his soul. He's a man of ink and ambition, writing what he shouldn't, loving what he can't. The Renaissance is his playground art lust and defiance rolled into one. But that shadow grows longer. One day he'll wear the papal ring, and this novel will be a ghost he can't outrun. For now, though, his pen is free and the page is his rebellion. Like Cher, tell us what's the spiciest secret you've ever uncovered. Because Aeneas, he's got a few, and they're hotter than a Florentine summer. You're in a bustling Venetian print shop, 1444, where the clatter of scribes echoes like a medieval newsfeed. Aeneas, Silvius Piccolominis, Historia de Duobus Amantibus isn't just a book. It's a sensation spreading faster than a rumour in a convent. This steamy tale of Euryalus and Lucretia with its tangled sheets and forbidden vows has Europe hooked. It's like a Renaissance Netflix drop binge read by nobles and scholars who can't resist its spice. You flip a page and it's all their lovers sneaking through torchlit halls, their whispers sharp as blade. Who knew a future pope could write something this unholy? The novel's success is no accident. Renaissance Europe craves stories that bite, and Aeneas delivers. His Latin prose polished yet raw paints scenes that make you blush. Lucretia's gaze like a flame on dry tinder, Euryalus' touch a sin worth confessing. It's not just romance, it's rebellion thumbing its nose at the church's grim sermons. You can almost smell the parchment fresh from a scribe's hand as it's smuggled into noble houses. Readers pass it like a guilty secret smirking over wine. But there's a catch: the church's spies are never far. You feel their eyes like a chill down your spine as bishops mutter about that cleric's filth. Aeneas, still a scholar, not yet Pius II, basks in the glow. His book's a hit, copied from Italy to France, even reaching German courts. It's the kind of fame that'd trend on medieval X with hashtags like #pious but spicy. But fame's a double-edged sword. Every copied manuscript risks exposure, every reader a potential snitch. You imagine him in his study, smirking at his own daring, yet glancing at the door. The church doesn't take kindly to clerics moonlighting as romance novelists. Whispers of scandal grow louder like a storm brewing over Florence's domes. Picture a reader in a dim-lit hall, heart-racing as they turn the page. The story's vivid lovers dodging guards, their passion a defiance of God and man. It's thrilling, but there's an eerie edge. Each word feels like a step toward damnation. Aeneas's prose doesn't just seduce, it unsettles like a confession you shouldn't hear. His readers know the risk owning this book could mean trouble, yet they can't stop. It's like scrolling through a forbidden thread, each line more addictive than the last. The irony? Aeneas is climbing the church's ranks, his novel trailing him like a shadow. He's no saint yet, just a man with a quill and too much nerve. His book's success is a middle finger to the pious, but it's also a ticking bomb. You wonder, does he sense the trouble coming? One day he'll be Pope Pius II, and this bestseller will be a secret he can't burn. For now, though, it's the talk of Europe, a scandal inked in Latin, passed hand to hand like a whispered sin. So what's the most scandalous read you've ever stumbled on? Because this one, it's got papal-level drama. Step into Florence 1444, where the Renaissance hums like a festival you didn't get an invite to. The air's thick with wine ambition, and the clink of gold coins in velvet pouches. This is no grim monastery courts glitter with silk-clad nobles, and literary salons buzz with scholars drunk on ideas, not just Chianti. Aeneas Silvius Piccolomini, our not yet pope, thrives here, his Historia de Duobus Amantibus. A naughty spark in this cultural wildfire. It's like dropping a spicy fanfic into a Renaissance book club everyone's reading, whispering, smirking. Sin's the muse and Aeneas is its bard. Picture a palazzo torchlight dancing on frescoed walls as poets and courtiers trade quips sharper than a stiletto. Humanism's the vibe Greek classics reborn church dogma kicked to the curb. Aeneas with his poet smirk fits right in. His novel's lovers Euryalus and Lucretia aren't just fiction, they're a middle finger to the church's sour-faced sermons. You can almost smell the parchment fresh with ink as his words pass from hand to eager hand. But there's a chill beneath the revelry. The church looms like a cranky landlord ready to evict this party of ideas. These salons aren't just talk shops. They're where the elite play dangerous games, flirting with heresy, toying with passion, all under the guise of learning. Aeneas's book fits like a glove. Its steamy prose, all forbidden kisses and clandestine trysts, mirrors the era's pulse. You'd think reading it's like scrolling a forbidden X thread, thrilling, risky, addictive. Nobles pass it behind fans, scholars quote it over goblets, each page a defiance of the Vatican's glare. Yet every laugh carries a shiver. Bishops don't love clerics moonlighting as romance novelists, and their spies are closer than you think. Imagine you're there slipping into a candlelit corner to hear a poet read Aeneas's lines. Her touch a spark to burn the heavens. The crowd gasps, half in delight, half in dread. It's not just a story, it's a rebellion inked in Latin. A dare to feel what the church forbids. The Renaissance loves its paradoxes, marble saints in cathedrals, sinful secrets in studies. Aeneas, still a cleric, walks a tightrope. His humanist friends cheer, but the church's shadow grows longer, its whispers sharper. You feel it, the thrill of defiance, the unease of being watched. This is the world that birthed Historia, a glittering, reckless age where art and lust outshine piety. Aeneas isn't just writing. He's living the Renaissance dream where passion's a philosophy, not a sin, but dreams have consequences. His novel's a hit, but it's also a fuse lit and sizzling. One day he'll be Pius II, and this revelry will haunt him like a ghost at a sermon. For now, though, the salons glow and his words burn bright. Like Cher Spilett, what's the wildest party you've ever crashed? Because this Renaissance